Hi there guys, in today's video I'll be making Raziel from one of my favourite games growing up, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. In Soul Reaver you play as the vampire Raziel, and after growing some shiny new wings, his creator, Kain, gets a little jealous and throws poor Raziel into the Lake of the Dead, where he slow cooks for a few hundred years and turns blue. Luckily, Raziel gets resurrected by a giant squid called the Elder God, and instead of wanting to drink blood like he did back when he had a lower jaw, Raziel now stalks the land of Nosgoth to consume the souls of his enemies and hunt down his creator, Kain. Soul Reaver 1 and 2 has just been remastered, and I highly recommend you play them if you haven't already. The Raziel file I'm printing today is available on Cults 3D. I'll include the link in the description box below, along with a link to the remastered games. After arranging the legs and the base in the Cheeto box slicer, I printed them on my Elegoo Saturn 8K resin printer, using Elegoo's own water washable grey resin. After the pieces had printed, I removed them from the build plate and discarded the support material. I then put the legs and base into my wash station, and when they were dry, I cured them in the UV curing station, which you'll see in a minute. I used to have an action figure of Raziel that had transparent wings, and I wanted to recreate that look. So for the upper body, I printed it using Elegoo's water washable clear blue resin. Again, once it had printed, the piece went into the wash station and then the UV curing station. If you do purchase this Raziel file, I need to point out there is a hollow spot or air pocket between his cowl and his chest. This didn't print correctly, and I had to end up resculpting some of the cowl by hand. When all the pieces were printed, I wet sanded them to get rid of any layer lines and remaining bumps from the support material. For the wings to remain transparent, I had to mask them off with tape and blue tack, so none of the primer paint would get on them. I then attached all three pieces to my paint stand and took them outside to prime them. Once all the pieces were primed, I made the boots bronze by giving them a couple of coats of this metallic Sharpie pen. I would later tone the bronze down using a brown wash. For the main blue tone, I used the Citadel Leathern Blue that I got from my local games workshop. Now Raziel is a muscly guy, and not because he works out, but because he has no skin. I wanted to make him as realistic as possible, so every colour on this model has two tones. After I'd done the base blue colour, I went over it with a darker shade, wiped away what I could, and ended up with some nice definition. Unfortunately, I don't have time to film every second of the painting process, so here's some before and after shots. Once the base was primed, I went to a nearby beach and collected some sand. I covered the entire thing with PVA glue, and then sprinkled some sand over it. I did this a couple of times to cover the entire base. I was going to paint the base originally, but I'll never be able to paint sand better than Mother Nature. And before anyone asks, yes, I washed the dog bowl before I let him drink from it again. I wanted to give the base a bit more height, so I purchased a 15cm wooden stand from Amazon. I primed this grey and then gloss black. I also wanted to include the Soul Reaver logo. Again, I found a file on Cults 3D, which I'll link below. The logo was again primed grey and then gloss black. I then went over the lettering with red and gold paint, and started gluing Raziel together. Once everything was glued together with some cheap but strong super glue, I used two small screws to fix the base to an old spray can, which kept it off the ground while I applied a matte clear coat outdoors. Up until now, I've been going crazy with gloss clear coat on this channel, but as I wanted Raziel to look real, I opted for a matte coat this time. I think Raziel is my best paintwork so far on this channel. I'm super happy with the two-tone colour schemes and small details I was able to achieve. Again, if you've never played the Legacy of Kain games, I can't recommend them enough, with their incredible stories and voice acting, and great puzzles and combat. Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered is definitely a great place to start. If you're new to the channel, you should be seeing some of my other projects just now, so be sure to have a look. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more projects like this in the future, then be sure to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.